The lands between is defined by ruin. All across Elden Ring's world there are signs of a better time, long lost to the past, with stories being told by the game's colourful cast of characters. Nowhere represents this more than the crumbling Farum Azula. This literal ruin is Elden Ring's temporal, self-referential metaphor. Farum Azula visualizes the shattering of the Elden Ring in the most literal sense. Lost to time and space, Farum Azula floats far away from the mainland in an omnipresent storm of ancient dragons. Farum Azula is not only a metaphor for the shattering, the destructive breaking of the Elden Ring which plunged the lands between into despair, but also manages to unconsciously represent the real-life fields of study for ruins in time, specifically within the worlds of theatre. Elden Ring hides within it a theatricality, visible in its bosses' monologues, the arenas you combat them in, and the excellent visual storytelling. Elden Ring commands thee to read between the lines, for the lands between is the stage and you are the star. The final act begins in Farum Azula, and hidden within the scales of ancient dragons and the crumbling architecture of Farum Azula's temples is a subtle yet sublime allegory for ruins and time. To begin, we only need to look at the land itself.
If I could save time in a bottle.
Farum Azula is Elden Ring's house of temporal phenomenon. We are told its shattered land is held together by the storm beyond time, and from the first steps on this land, the signs of time's effects are present. To start, there is no day-night cycle in Farum Azula. The sun is always low in the sky, ever shining. The storm never seems to grow weaker, spinning constant and furious in the centre of Farum Azula. And the ancient dragons continuously swirl around the storm, more than you ever see outside of this area. It is truly a spectacle to behold, a chorus of ancient dragons stuck in time, forever flying, and although, bar a few exceptions, seemingly in the background, these dragons are to me the cause of Farum Azula's time alteration. My argument lies in the item description of the ancient dragon smithing stone, which states, "The scale of an ancient dragon lord, made by polishing a golden gravel stone, this stone lightly twists time." This is not an item exclusive to the corpse of a dragon lord, however, as killing other ancient dragons, such as multiple dragons in Farum Azula itself, or ancient dragon Senesax in Shadow of the Erd Tree, also grants you an ancient dragon smithing stone, and I believe that this suggests that most, if not all, ancient dragons have time-twisting scales, and thus, the dragons themselves twist time. I do not believe the storm in the centre to have any temporal effects, rather it is held in time by the dragons flying around it and the lord contained within it. Placidusax, the ancient dragon lord, is said to lie beyond time. It is only by entering the storm and giving yourself to time that you are granted audience with the Dragon Lord. It is here where the theatrical parallels begin to show themselves, a surprising link to the world of the performing arts. Matthew Wagner in his paper Theatre and Time discusses the temporality of theatre as a medium, one which seemingly is capable of manipulating time. He states, "Theatrical activity unfolds in both time and space. The relationship between the two is worth some inquiry in any discourse about time. What matters is the fact that both theatrical time and theatrical space are, with very few exceptions, generated by the presence and movement of bodies. If we apply this thinking to time, the ancient dragons, and space, Farum Azula, we are left with a beautifully crafted case for Farum Azula's temporal theatricality. For the ancient dragons themselves seem to twist time via the temporal effects of their scales, and although majority of them can be found swirling in the central storm, they can also be found in one place more, the land of Farum Azula itself. The bodies of ancient dragons can be seen embedded within the land of Farum Azula, and we know the ancient dragon smithing stones still affect time even when detached from the dragons, which leads me to believe that alive or not, these dragons are altering the time of the stone they are embedded in. The ancient dragons are the bodies, Farum Azula is the space, and it is the interplay and dialogue between the two that bring about its temporal dissonance. No single factor is responsible for Farum Azula's fractured temporality, but rather the combination of several phenomena is to be held responsible for such a ruinous act. The beautiful ruins of Farum Azula act as the stage for the bodies of ancient dragons to perform. Unmoving and quiet, their scales alter time, shifting the temporality of Farum Azula. Time and ruins are intertwined in a dialogue of tension, a tension that FromSoft have continued to masterfully weave into all of their games. When a moment calls for drama, FromSoft deliver. What Florence M. Hetzler would describe as ruin beauty, FromSoft capture in all of their work. A place of the past, no longer thriving, but adapting to a new era, a new aesthetic. Farum Azula feels like the ultimate form of FromSoft's ruinous level design. Intricate hallways, dubious paths, and ridiculously difficult bosses condensed into a landscape in which the land itself tells a story. The ability to turn a backdrop into a stage, a storytelling device, is a mastery seldom have achieved, yet FromSoft have managed to successfully implement it time and time again. The rich history of the world of Elden Ring all mixes together on the stage of Farum Azula. The aforementioned shattering of the Elden Ring, caused by the fickleness of Queen Marika trying to craft a perfect reality, accidentally dousing the world in ruin. Or perhaps it's broken Lord Placidusax. Battle-scarred and broken, he floats dormant in the middle of the storm beyond time. Farum Azula is Elden Ring's perfect ruin, displaying its shattered history. But as with time, the most compelling truths reside in how the real studies of ruins can be seen in Farum Azula. Hetzler talks of the ruins of theatre, of the treasury, of the place of the oracle. The long walk up to the theatre is part of the work and part of the aesthetic experience of it. He discusses the wonder of anticipation, of pacing, quote, the walk up to the theatre, as a perfect metaphor to describe the fact that half of the brilliance of a ruin is the build-up towards it. Archways mark your path and grand bridges lead you to a monolith. The aesthetics of ruins is important because of the inescapable interplay with nature that the man-made works have at every moment of their existence. The push and pull of the world and its artistry, guiding your eyes, framing its world together, presenting different landmarks as if proud of its own land, is a unique and impressive feat. No other world is designed so meticulously with so much history. Farum Azula feels like a place Hetzler would describe as mature. It does not merely have a day it was ruined, it connects with space, it exists over time. The interplay of time and ruins in regards to theatricality, which we now know we can find in the literal land and ruins that FromSoftware crafted for Farum Azula, is a truly one-of-a-kind representation of these concepts. Wagner goes on to say, these dual perspectives, the materiality of time, born in large measure from the temporal dissonance, and the relationship between time, space, and body, build towards a kind of death. The late-game positioning of Farum Azula as a temporal stage for the ruins of Farum Azula to enact its ferocity and reality onto the player is an absolute masterclass of world-building. It is here we meet Malekith, who for all intents and purposes is the in-game incarnation of death. Farum Azula leads us to the doors of death, presenting to you the closing chapter of the journey that it asked you to embark on so many hours ago. But it does manage to hide one of its most poignant metaphors for itself and the wider world of temporal theatrics within the relationship between time and death. In particular, the way in which performance echoes and even amplifies the rhythms and cycles of life, especially in its manifestation of ending. When bodies perform on a stage, they can ruin themselves. Real emotions like grief, sadness, and pain can be felt by actors when enveloped in the world of a performance. And although we can be confident the actor will move on and continue afterwards, we are left with a haunting echo of the character, who was ruined on a stage and then abandoned by the actor. the ghost of themselves lost to the stage, left in the past. Farum Azula as a literal ruin represents the now distant era of the ancient dragons. Once all-powerful and controlling, the ancient dragons are now cast away to a distant land, trapping themselves in time in a ruined land that reflects their shattered past. It is evident that Farum Azula's beautiful ruins represent the shattered world of Elden Ring, whilst also acting as an analogy for how theatre and performance can shatter temporality. Its ruins sit upon stone with the bodies of ancient dragons embedded within, altering the temporality of the world, represented in the ever-present twister at its centre. And it leads us to death. Through masterful level building and tense battles, we are led to Malekith, the Black Blade, a representation of power and prowess. The wielder of death itself is presented before us, but it is no more powerful than the ruinous temporality he's contained within. It all comes back to time, as it is the only thing capable of holding back death, which in turn grants life.